You stepped into shadow and substance, creativity and integrity. You stepped behind the byline.
Welcome to Behind the Byline, a dimension where journalists matter just as much as the stories they cover. I'm joined today by the host of the Act 2 podcast, a scribe who has written for the likes of Vibe magazine, Rolling Stone, Okayplayer, etc., etc., freelance journalist and music historian, the self-proclaimed multi-hyphenate unicorn from Newark, New Jersey, Kia Turner. Kia, how you doing?
That introduction was cute.
Thank you. I'm 4 for 4 now.
I'm okay. I'm high, but I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you for joining the program, high or not.
Mm-hmm.
Your presence is always appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
And it has been a long time coming, getting you here and getting myself here on the same page. But now that we're here to finally document and tell your story,
wow,
I think we should start at the beginning. So, Kia Turner, who are you?
This feels very like Jay-Z Nardwuar-ish. And I feel like I don't know if
I understood that reference too.
Well, I'm a rapper, I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah, my name is Kia. I mean, you did introduce me. I'm from Newark. It's pronounced Newark, not Newark. Newark.
Like I apologize for that city.
No, because people just pronounce it wrong in general. No, it's Newark. Yeah, I'm a writer. I do call myself a multi-hyphenate because I feel like I do a lot of things.
Word.
I have experience in a lot of things: social media management, creative direction, art direction, seeding for like events and like products and stuff like that. What else? Talent relations, PR.
Oh, the resume come through.
I've kind of touched a couple. At my age, I'm proud to say I've touched on a lot of different things. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I just think I'm a dope fucking person.
Oh, I love that.
So
we love self-love. That's beautiful. So as one of the things that, you said in that multitude of labels, titles, work experience that you kind of dabbled in and around the industry, music historian. That is one thing that I am sort of fascinated with because, being a writer, you have to know about the stuff that you write about. So what transpired in your life that maybe led you down that particular journey of becoming passionate about pop culture, music, fashion, everything dealing with Black and elsewhere? Because that is truly a fascinating story for somebody who's a writer.
So my sister, she wouldn't mind me putting her age out there because she's still young. But my sister, she was born in 88. So she's like a whole decade damn near removed from me.
Yeah.
So she grew up in a different time where like MTV was really in like its MTV era. And like, she really watched the rise of BET. Like she was really there for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot of stuff from my sister, Shayna. She was the type every month she had the newest Rolling Stone cover, she had the newest Vibe cover, like a complete student of music and pop culture. So a lot of what I know comes from my sister Shayna, and I always give her credit for that. She was caught up in like the era of like the Britney and Christina and NSYNC and Backstreet Boy, but then she also just knew so much about like Ja Rule and DMX and the Murder Inc. thing and Jay-Z and the whole bad, like, you know what I'm saying? So she was all across the board. And even down to like, rock, whatever, like, she would listen to Shania Twain and then she would turn around and she could cite a Nirvana song.
We love that.
Like my sister is just very a student, truly. So being that it's only me and her, anything my older sister did, I wanted to do. Like anything she was into, I wanted to be into. Because to me, my older sister is and was the coolest person in my life. So I learned a lot from my sister. The rest came because I call myself a zillennial because technically I'm Gen Z, but I have the experiences of a millennial.
Right.
And I remember that era of playing outside, but I also remember that rise of the internet.
Yeah.
So also I was a bit of a nerd growing up.
Ooh.
I loved being on the internet. I would sit on Wikipedia and YouTube all day just looking up shit.
Girl, me
and
too.
then I would, especially one thing I did love about Wikipedia, even though like things were like false or whatever, they used to tell us don't cite it as a source.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that I did love was when you went to an artist's page or a movie page or whatever, they were hyperlinked, so you could always click on something. It would lead you to something else. So
ball.
You know what I'm saying? So like, of course, like. The first, I think, love that I got from my sister outside of music was Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson is historically known as being a student. He always has said, like, you know, you have to study the greats and then study who they studied in order to be great. Yeah. So I would always look up stuff about Michael Jackson. And then from there, I would look up people that were always associated with his name. So, okay, who the fuck is Fred Astaire? So now I want to look that up. Okay, who the fuck is the Nicholas brothers? Okay, now I'm gonna look that up. Okay, like
Jomo, make sure at this part you put those names and spell it out so people can go back and do their research.
But yeah, like, you know, or like, okay, yeah, you know James Brown for what you see, but like, do you really know his discography and like the difference between the Famous Flames and like when he was really getting into his funk era, when he started bringing like Boosie Collins, young Boosie Collins, and like, you know, things like that. And so really Michael Jackson is the start for all of this too, outside of my sister. Is just I studied whoever he was studied and whoever they studied, and then it was like I remember I would always go through her like albums. My sister had a ton of CDs, so I used to like to sit and go through the booklets. I wanted to see who wrote the song, who produced it. That's how I found out about what publishing was. Oh, what you mean a publishing house is? Oh, okay, well, what's a publishing house? What's publishing? Like, that's what really got me, you know, interested in things like that. So yeah, so it really started from there. And then outside of that and just being wrapped up in that, in the internet era, it was also my parents. My parents, they grew up in the 60s. So it was a lot of like Motown played in the house, a lot of like soul music played in the house. But also just like I'm from Jersey too, so like a lot of house music was played in my house. So, you know, growing up in Newark, like club music was a big thing. So like I always was around, and it's crazy because I was thinking about this on the way over here. I was never one of those people when I grew up, I felt like I wasn't black enough. I felt like my whole life I was black enough, even with me loving Guns N' Roses, but me also loving like Nelly. Yeah, like I felt like I was still black enough. I never felt like, oh, I need to compensate or I don't really know. Like, nah, like I feel like my family surrounded me with a lot. Like my family really kind of laid that ground for me. We would watch the Grammys as if it was a Christmas dinner. Like literally get in the living room or somebody's bedroom. We would all be in the bed, me, my mom, my sister, like my cousins would come over and we would watch the Grammys or the BET Awards. Like you would think somebody was going to prom the way we would go all out. Oh, somebody get some fried chicken. Let's So, you know, like, and then on top of that, this is when show like channels like VH1 and they had like specials like, you know, where I love the 70s and I love the 80s. So I learned a lot from the TV and internet era, but also just from the radio era as well. I remember being a kid, being in the car, and Prince, I Want to Be Your Lover was playing. This was probably the first time I really realized I was listening to something Prince. And I love that I can remember this moment. My great aunt had asked me, oh, do you know who that is singing? And because it was a high-pitched voice, I thought it was Michael Jackson because I always associated a high-pitched voice with Michael. Like, oh, it's Michael Jackson. Everybody in the car laughs. She goes, no, that's Prince. And I was like, I remember being like 5 and being like, well, who the fuck is Prince? And then like I went home, you know, like I'm going, and my mom's like, oh, well, here's my Prince CDs. And like, so it was moments like that. My family always wanted me to learn if something was playing. Do you know that sample? Yeah. No, that's a sample. What's a sample? Okay. Like, you know, like, so that's kind of where all of that, but that was very long-winded, but I get really excited about stuff like that because it gives me a chance to give mainly my sister her just due. I always call her my Beyonce and I'm the Solange because in a way she always had to do things the right way. Go to school, get a degree. Yeah. She got married. She had a child. Like she did everything the right way. me, I'm the wayward child that was like, fuck school, I'm about to become a journalist and hang out with celebrities and do cool shit for a living. I'm the pothead, da-da-da. But, like, one day she said to me, I learned a lot from you. Like, because you never stopped. Like, my sister wanted to be a lawyer. She stopped. And she was like, you always said you wanted to be in music. And, like, you really ended up there. Like, that's so crazy to me. And so I always try to give my sister her flowers because people tell me all the time, you're a historian, you're this, you're that. I even put the titles on myself. But none of that comes without my sister, Shayna. So that's very important for me to highlight that for her. So, yeah.
Shout out to Shayna.
Yeah.
It all starts at home.
Yeah.
So was there ever another profession? Because there was a lot of love for various things, like music education that was in there. There was like teaching moments. There was moments of like digging in and maybe becoming a DJ. There's so many different things that your story could have sort of gave birth to. So was there ever a point in time where you wanted to be something other than a music journalist or a writer or a creative?
To be honest with you, I never wanted to be a music journalist. Of course, when you're a kid, you think you can be anything you want. So I basically wanted to be Beyonce. So I wanted to be a singer. And then obviously you get older and you're like, I ain't really had that talent like that. So what else can I do? Because I knew I loved music. So just watching different people, again, reading booklets, reading magazines, I was like, okay, well, I want to be a part of the music making process.
Right.
So I always wanted to be like an A&R or like an executive or something.
Oh, wow.
That was really always my goal. I wanted to be an exec or I wanted to be an A&R. I always wanted to be a part of making the music, putting the project together, putting it out there. I would always hear the stories about how they made this song, how they put this together. And I'm like, oh, I want to be a part of that process.
Yeah.
So that was always my goal. I just didn't know how to get there. And I always had this talent for writing. I don't really know where it came from, but I was always good at it. And when I got to my second high school, because I went to a charter school for my first high school, and then I left and went to public school my last 2 years.
In New Jersey.
So when I went to public school, because I was caught up with damn near all my credits, I only had an English and a history course I had to take. They were like, okay, well, we kind of need you to fill out your schedule still. So I took a journalism course because that was one of the only ones that didn't have a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
So I remember the first like meeting we had. I think Beyonce was about to I think she was about to get the Video Vanguard Award at the VMAs, and they wanted to do something about it, but they didn't know what to do. Yeah. So somebody had said, oh, well, why don't we do like the top 10 best Beyonce performances of all time? I'm really not paying attention. And the dude, well, Lucky, I actually am so cool. Lucky, we used to call him Lucky Luciano because his name is Lucky, but he was like, I can't even name 10 Beyonce performances. And, like, I don't know if it was the spirit of Tina Knowles that evoked within me, but, like, I jumped up. I was like, you can't name. And, like, off the top of my head, I just named 10 Beyonce performances. And the journalism teacher was like, well, you're going to write it. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to write this shit. So I wrote it, and it was actually really good. And she was like, kid, do you know what you're going to go to school for? It's like, no, I really don't want to go to school. I want to be an A&R. Like, so I got to get in these streets. I got to be outside.
I should be outside right now.
I need to be outside right now, actually trying to figure this shit out. And she's like, you know, I actually think you would be a really good journalist. I was like, yeah, whatever, Mrs. Ironcito. So when I got to school and they were like, well, do you know your major? I felt stupid because everybody around me knew what they were going to do with themselves. Or at least they thought they knew. Because at 18, you really don't know what the fuck you're about to do with your life.
You just got an idea.
Yeah, so all my friends and everybody was like, I'm going to go to this school. I'm going to do this. And I was the only one who really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to school for journalism. And that was kind of just something to do. And I honestly, I know how I ended up here, but the fact that I ended up here doing what I'm doing, like, that was never the goal. I never wanted to do
that. Is crazy.
No, I wanted to be an A&R.
Nah, success by accident is nuts.
Yeah, no, never. But shout out to Mrs. INC, though. That was love. Like, she saw it in me.
Shout out to all the teachers, man.
For real.
So what do you think, in your life particular, with all the family members, the teachers that helped you get to where you're at, directly and indirectly, how do you think your personal life has sort of shaped your career and multiple interests? Because in a way, like you said, you weren't even planning on being here. So in a way, the lucky stars sort of pointed you in this direction. Yeah. And maybe for a reason, or maybe it's for a reason we don't know yet.
Right.
So what do you think transpired in your life that sort of directly impacted this era of your career and where you're headed next?
Me and my dad, we have a interesting relationship.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my best friends, but in a lot of ways, he's like a mirror for me. And so he reflects sometimes things that I don't like within myself. And he's a Gemini. So I think that in itself just kind of says it. He's a Gemini. Like to a T, like Kanye level Gemini.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he busting in Rolling Stone
He's busting in the Rolling Stone offices like, nigga, I just created a man. Like,
yeah.
Like, and my dad, he's very egotistical. He always says, I don't know why you don't act like me when it come to that. Because I guess I never had the confidence he has in himself. And one time me and my dad had a fight. And we didn't talk for a couple months. And then when we got back on good terms, he never really was like accepting of me becoming a journalist. I remember when I wanted to start my own website. This was before I had ever written for anybody. And I'd asked him for money to just, kind of fund it. Like just, I need a graphic designer. I need to pay for a web designer, things like that. Excuse me. And he didn't want to give me the money. He was just like, you want to sit there and write all day? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't care. So after this one fight we had, when we did come back around to talking again, it was because I was in a car accident. I wasn't injured or anything, but the car was really fucked up.
I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So he came with my mom to come get me or whatever, and I had a byline due. It was my first byline for Okayplayer. And I was like, I have to get home. Because they was like, we need to take you to that. I was like, no, I'm not going. Like, I need to get home. I have to finish this article. You don't understand. I got to finish it. And he was like, just go to the hospital. I'll go and get your laptop for you. I was like, okay, fine. So he brought my laptop to me. And I'm typing. I'm just, and I have long nails. Well, not right now. I'm, kind of starting over from basics. But normally I have very long nails. So just imagine very long nails. Just and so I'm just going away. And I'm noticing he's just watching me. So when the story was done, it was a Jim Jones interview. When the story was done and I put it out there, he read it and he was like, oh, that was cool. And I was like, okay. So my goal in life was, at least at that time, was to I just need something to make him proud of me. That was it. I just wanted to do something to make my father proud of me.
Yeah.
And by luck, I ended up getting a Babyface interview. And Babyface is my father's favorite. I mean, it's like the OJs and Babyface. Yeah. Like, that's it for him. And I remember, my mom being like, well, you want me to tell? I'm like, no, don't tell him. I want it to be a surprise. So I did the interview with Babyface. I remember at the end telling him, because we were on Zoom, I remember at the end telling him, my father loves you, da-da-da-da. He was like, oh, tell your father. I said, hello, hi, Zachary, all that in the Zoom. So I went over to my father's house, and I showed him the clip. And, I've never seen him be more proud of me. Of, this is what you did in such a short time. Mind you, I was only, maybe 4-5 months into this professionally, and I had never seen him just so yo, you doing shit what?
Over the moon ecstatic about
just
you. Yeah.
Over the moon. And after that, it was never any debate. It was anytime somebody would come around, oh, this is my daughter, she's a journalist, it was just that he was proud of me. And I thought about that moment, and it sucks that I feel like I had to get a moment like that in order for him to really kind of appreciate me. And so from then on, I was just in go mode, because I'm I think that's my problem. I'm searching for validation, even in my own family, from my own father. So that's what really put me into where I'm at right now. It's just everything has to be intentional for me.
Yeah. Because
if you end up you writing to please somebody, or you writing to make somebody else happy, or make somebody proud, are you proud of the work you did at the end of the day? Because now you're just doing bullshit.
Yeah. And in this era, it's easy to really just do
bullshit.
Yeah, and get away with it. That's crazy. But that is a interesting story, because it really shows the complexities of, I guess, from a different perspective. Because I'm a man, my dad, man, but from the dynamic of father, daughter, and what it takes to try and please the father or get that validation, especially when you're doing something where it just looks like we're fiddling with words or keys all day.
Right.
So how has that sort of set you forward for the next chapter in your career? Because now you don't need to seek validation.
No.
You basically have defeated the final boss. You got through all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So now it's time to make Kia happy.
Yes.
So how are you moving these days that is in, I guess, approval of self and affirming of self as a journalist and beyond?
Moving with full intention.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my word probably for the last 6 months. It's just being still and being very intentional. I think sometimes we confuse like speed with movement, and it's not. And like, not all action is really doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in regards to like making moves and
yeah, like the things that you see, it's not always adding up to some grand picture. You know what I'm saying? It's the maintenance of something that comes with the role that we've given ourselves or the role that we've been placed into. But you're not actually elevating anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, everything was about, especially once like the Okayplayer layoffs happened, like everything for me was like, I got to be intentional with what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I'm looking at what's happening right now, not only just in media with the corporations and the big bosses that are above our pay grade,
Right.
but also just amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we should challenge all of us to come better. So, including me, I was looking at my work like, damn, this shit kind of lackluster. This shit kind of basic. I never wanted to be like you niggas. Like, and I mean that with all due love and respect. Like, I always wanted kindred energy with you niggas.
Yeah.
So it's like, in order for me to do that, it has to be less talking. It has to be less expectations and more intentional work. So for me, that's really just been it. Like, that was the big change for me, was just like, everything has to be intentional from now on. I'm not writing no bullshit. No, I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not interviewing this person just because you sent me the email or the pack. I'm not doing it. Like, no, I want to tell stories. I started off in this, even before I had a byline, people called me a storyteller, music historian, because I know a lot. I'm good at telling stories. And I want to get that across to people. But I'm not going to sit there and give you no bullshit. I care too much about my craft. I care too much about my peers. I care too much about legacy, and I care too much about music for me to do that. So that's really been the thing for me. Everything is like slow motion. People have been like, you too quiet. Yeah, because I'm working. I'm doing something. I'm focused. I'm, creating.
You're in your bag.
I am.
In order to get into your bag, though, you have to do the bullshit.
I do have to do some bullshit.
So
I did some bullshit, though.
Talk to me about the journey of writing that bullshit in and around the industry. Like,
everything wasn't bullshit, though.
Everything wasn't bullshit. That's where I was gonna go. So how did we start bursting in to the industry as a journalist, like freelancing, and then how did we end up at Okayplayer?
Okay. So on Twitter, I used to do a lot of Twitter threads. One of the biggest ones I did was I somehow managed to find every single performance from every single VMA show that ever happened. It took a lot of work. It took as much research as you would expect.
Yeah.
It took a lot of sourcing.
And this was when Twitter was Twitter, not X.
Right.
Okay.
We had the actual.
Yeah, this is Twitter.
Elon wasn't even a thought.
No.
This was like 2016, 2017. So, I had did a thread of every single performance from every VMA that has happened over the years. Of course, they snatched my account. Of course, they threatened me with, like, we will sue you. How did you even... Literally, in one of the emails, they asked me, you have access to videos we don't have access to. Like, it's not my fault your archives are messed up. Like,
hire me.
Like, I can help you. We can make this work. So that's what really started off. Was I was known for doing threads. I was always on Twitter, basically doing what a lot of these pages do now, which is posting older things, bringing up topics that people may have forgotten about.
Oh, that archival bag.
Yeah, everybody's in it now, but I can firmly say I was like really one of the first on Twitter really doing it. And then I had got this idea one time. I was like, oh, well, I always wanted to know how certain albums were made. I always loved this show. It used to come on VH1. I can't think of the name of it right now, but basically it was like they would take different albums and kind of like break them down. They did one with Fleetwood Mac. They did one with Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt.
Oh, wait. And then they would use like archival footage and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it was called Classic Albums or something like that, because
yeah.
they did one with Stevie Wonder's The Songs in the Key of Life. And so I always used to love that show because it would break down every single process of how the album was made. So I wanted to do one with an album that I felt like was very underrated at the time, which was, of course, people love it now, but that's because people now love Janet. But there was a time where I remember people were not giving Janet the attention they give her now. And I was like, oh, I always loved The Velvet Rope by Janet Jackson. Like, let me do it about that. And
Classic.
I named it Liner Notes. And I did the first thread, and it was getting, like, viral. And I remember somebody said to me, like, you should put this on a website, because if not, BuzzFeed's going to come and take it. And I was just like, okay.
That's mad specific.
That's very specific. I don't know if you got beef with them, but sound personal, but okay. I'll take the advice. So that's when I started the whole website thing. And my website, I basically just used it to, like, write about whatever I want to write about. Like, I wrote about, like, my personal connection to the LGBTQ community. This is way before Renaissance. Like, again, we're talking about, like, 2018. About, like, you know, my love for, like, voguing and where that came from. And just, you know, just things like that. I would always have a playlist to accompany the article. Like, just kind of experimenting with what I would end up doing as an actual career. Of course, I met a lot of people on Twitter by just doing the threads and stuff like that. One of them was a writer by the name of Mykesha Vaughn. And when Clubhouse really started popping, so what's this, like 2020, basically? So when Clubhouse really started getting jumping, she started something on there called Pussy Rap and all of that. And it was basically just a room where she would sit in there and talk about women in hip hop. It started off initially fun, like just lighthearted, fun, playing games, stuff like that. Then people actually started tuning in, so she turned it into more of an actual podcast type of format, but on Clubhouse. So the hosts were her and then a mutual friend we had at the time, Laja. And she asked Robin Mowat, who was a writer at Okayplayer at the time, to come in. And then she asked me to come in to do deconstructing. So I would, because liner notes turned into deconstructing. So she told me to, you know, come in doing some deconstructing of, like, some hip hop songs.
Not to interject, is it that deconstructing? That's the it has like a pink background. It has like the D. Oh yeah, I seen that. Yeah. Shout out to you.
Rest in peace to deconstructing. Oh man,
that was damn.
Yeah. But yeah, so she told me to come on and do deconstructing for, like, you know, some hip hop songs. I think the first one I did was like Salt and Pepper, None of Your Business, or some shit like that. And eventually the four of us, it just was one of those things where it wasn't even really discussed. It was just more so, oh, this feels right. Let's keep doing this. And we kept doing it. Got, you know, viral. Complex wrote about us. They actually interviewed, Andre, who he works at Rolling Stone now, but Andre G, but he was at Complex at the time. He interviewed me and Mykesha for a story about what the fuck we was talking about, this fucking app. What was it? Clubhouse.
Oh, Clubhouse, yeah.
And then like the LA Times covered us. So this was actually getting, like, some steam or whatever. And then Robin introduced me to D-Moss over at Okayplayer. And D was like, okay, well, I'll see what I have here. And, you know, you can always just do some freelance work for us.
Right.
So I started doing some freelance work at Okayplayer. And then Jim Jones' publicist had invited me to a dinner. Her name is Chanel. She had invited me to a dinner for an artist she was working for. And when I came, the card said Kia Turner Okayplayer. And I was like, oh shit, because I don't work at Okayplayer. I just freelanced a couple times.
Y'all got this wrong.
Like, I don't want nobody to get it, you know, and then it gets back to somebody like, oh, she claims she worked at there. So D-Moss walks in. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, not the editor. And he was the acting editor-in-chief at the time. I'm like, oh, shit. So D walks in, and luckily he had no problem with it. He thought it was funny that they, you know, did it. So before he left, I said, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I'm ready to leave the medical field, and I'm really trying to go in this shit. Like, I'm trying to go big, baby. Like, I'm trying to look bag.
A&R.
I'm trying to get my bag off. And he was just like, that's fine, Key. He's like, you never sent me your resume. And that was one of the first lessons I learned. If you want something, you just got to tell a motherfucker. Like, you just got to hit him up. Like, hey, this is what I need. Like, so I sent him my resume, and then I did my social media edit test. And, yeah, that's how I ended up being the social media manager over at Okayplayer. And then while I was doing that, I was also writing. So it was kind of like a dual job again. I've never had just one job. It's always been me doing 15 jobs.
Shout out to America.
Hey, man, capitalism is a bitch.
So how was your time working at Okayplayer? Like, the ins and outs, was it a good time that we look back on and say, damn, those were amazing times?
What I will say is that it gave me the opportunity to test out every single thing I wanted to do. I think if I was at a company, and this is no shade to these companies because I fuck with you guys, but if I was at a more, I don't even want to say established because then it makes it sound like it was unorganized, like, you know, bullshit. But you know what I mean? If I was at like a New York Times or LA Times or something, I wouldn't have had the liberty to experience all the things that I experienced at Okayplayer. It would have been, this is your role, here's the role, let's all stay in it.
Yeah.
Whereas at Okayplayer, it was like, well, Kia's really talented. So if Kia wants to write, then let Kia write. If Kia has the connections to bring these artists in where they'll come in and hang out with us and play their album, let's let her handle talent relations.
Yeah.
If Kia has the creative mind to put together concepts and photo shoots, let's make her production assistant. Let's, you know, let her lead creatively, you know, on cover stories or features. You know, if Kia has this mindset to do X, Y, and Z, then let's do social first series.
Word.
It was kind of this thing of like, all right, well, if you got it, then just do it.
Yeah. Here are the keys. Go crazy.
Like, just do it. And even if I was met with opposition, which even when I still did what I wanted to do, it was always a thing of like, they respected me for having the balls to do so. Like, I remember Joey Badass's team had reached out about doing a story with him, but we really didn't have an angle for it. But I knew I wanted to do something with him just because it would have been dope.
Word.
So I was like, well, can we do the photo shoot and then do the story afterwards? And they were like, yeah, fine. I tried to get a budget. We didn't have it. So I literally told his team, I was like, look, he can meet me at this spot and we could do this themed photo shoot. I'll send you guys over, like, you know, my mood board or what I have in mind. And, yeah, we could just get it done. And thank God him and his team were okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I invited this nigga to a gas station in Elizabeth, New Jersey, down the street from Newark Airport. And he showed up and showed out. And
Shout
the
out
photos
Joey,
were
man.
fucking dope.
Wow.
And I remember bringing him back into the office and being like, this is what I did for $0 after you told me no. And, like, I remember my ESC and, like, D-Mons were looking at the photos like, oh, this is fire. You did this for free? I said, I didn't pay a single dollar out of my pocket for this photo shoot. He came with his own fucking clothes on. And, like, it was that whole thing of just, like, Kia's never going to ask us for permission. She's always just going to ask for forgiveness.
We love a go-getter, yo.
So that's the one thing that I think I always take with me from Okayplayer was just there was this liberty of, like, well, fuck it. Go off. And if we do tell you no, I almost encourage you if you do decide to just still keep doing it yourself.
Do you think that type of mindset should be nurtured and sort of promoted more in our space? Or do you think having that New York Times, LA Times sort of like rigorous skeleton of like, this is what we do historically, this is work, this is how we move. Which one do you think would better impact, I guess, the culture today with all the layoffs and all that crazy shit happening?
It depends on what your leadership wants, because ultimately that's who's dictating the culture.
Yeah.
It's not even the writers.
Right.
And I feel so bad when the writers get kind of like bullied online or talked to about maybe the way a byline is written.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, just any little thing, or editing. Maybe they took something out that you were like, bro, that's something we should have kept in. Or maybe they kept something in that you were like, nah, we should take this out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like, ultimately, it's a lot of things that are above our pay grades that is just like, sometimes it's too hard to fight, especially when you are dealing with a company where it is a little bit more structured. I can tell you that the structure at Okayplayer is not the structure it is over at Rolling Stone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And that could be for good, because look at where Okayplayer is and look at Rolling Stone is. It could also be for bad, because I can name things that we did at Okayplayer that was fire, that like Rolling Stone only wish they could do. Like, I just started peeping Rolling Stone in their social media, started adding like memes in their social media, like posts. Like, they'll like try to make it funny.
Small little details.
But I've been doing that 2 years ago at Okayplayer. Like, it's just little minute things like that like can change things. You know what I'm saying? So I think it all depends on what the leadership wants. If you have a strong leader who comes in and they can understand the business, but also understand I need that young creative to foster that energy, then you might have some magic. If you have someone that comes in and they don't know what the fuck they want, then y'all gonna be a company that's get lost in the sauce. If you have someone that comes in and maybe they're really good with the money, but they're bad at executing good, creative, sound ideas, then you guys are just going to end up being a company who issues newsletters about events and formal articles that were written.
Awkward. So
I'm just saying, you know.
And that might lead to, layoffs.
God bless, man.
That might lead to something unfortunate.
It might lead to something unfortunate. So it really just all depends on the leadership. But I feel like if you really care about what you should care about, which is the work we're doing, then you would allow, which ones are like the ones where like, oh, puppy, sit down. And then the ones where it's like, all right, go off, kid.
Yeah, do your thing. Go crazy.
Go crazy.
Here's $50.
Yeah, and even if you give somebody one shot, you know what I'm saying? Like, just give them a chance. You know what I'm saying? I think people, a lot of like media, especially the publication world, is still tied into this very old way of doing things that like, I think we're getting to a point it's starting. I mean, not starting. It is cracking.
It's crumbling.
It's crumbling. Yeah. So.
And so your time at Okayplayer from, outside looking in, it seemed to have kind of capped in November 2023.
Yeah.
Because I remember you dropped an article, or they dropped the article, depending on how you want to look at it.
Right.
The top 11 women-fronted disses.
Yeah.
Fire, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes. You said that was your last article that you wrote for them.
Yeah.
So how did you receive that news? Was it like a formal, like an email, or did you just try to open up the door and you like, damn, my key don't work? Like how did that happen? Because a lot of people have never been laid off before.
Right. So they don't know how
they don't know. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through. This is very Left Eye of me. If you ever seen that clip of Left Eye, where she goes, this is how you can go bankrupt and go diamond. Like, whatever. Okay, so literally woke up that morning. I actually was about to start working on a story, but my dad asked me to go with him somewhere. And it was a Friday. So usually Fridays are very, like, light days or whatever. But I will say I was in the office maybe a week or two before it. And I hate to say it, but you could feel leading up that something wasn't quite going right. We were getting to a place where we weren't having money for things, and things just kind of felt very like, this don't feel like a strong company right now. Like this don't feel too stable.
What y'all hiding?
Yeah, like what's going on here? And so it was a Friday. I was with my father, and I think I had went to go message somebody, or no, I know what it was. I was in a group chat with a coworker of mine who was at OK Africa, and a coworker of mine who was also at Okayplayer, and they were like, "Hey, I tried to Slack so and so, and I can't. It's saying their page is deactivated." So we go in the Slack to try to message them, and it's deactivated. And we're like, okay, well, did they quit? Like, nobody issued an email. Nobody, like, what?
Right.
And in real time, we were watching every single person's page
just vanish
into.
Oh, no.
And it was the craziest feeling because we're literally like no bullshit. You would refresh and like you were watching in real time people's
so it was like
Slack channels getting deactivated.
Avengers Endgame type.
No, like Thanos.
That's crazy.
Like you were watching it in real time. And we knew it was only a matter of time before it at least got to us. Because it was only the Okayplayer people. So we were like, we know it's only a matter of time before it gets to me and the other coworker. So.
Oh, this is nasty.
I had got an email like, hey, Kia, you free to hop on a Zoom call?
Hey, Kia.
And I was like, Kia. Yeah, I'm free. Because at this point, we all know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we peep game. And, yeah, I hopped on the Zoom call. It was our CEO on there. And she basically was like, due to every other media thing that every other media company is dealing with,
unfortunately, we gotta,
we have to do layoffs, and you're a part of it. And that was basically it. Instantly, my account was deleted. Yeah, on Slack.
Oh,
Instantly, my email. I think they actually told me like, oh yeah, you got like about 5 minutes to get everything you need out your email. Mind you, in my email, I have like I have fucking Beyonce's publicist info in my email. And you're telling me I got 5 minutes to get my shit out
before it detonates? That's
like, what
crazy.
are we talking about? So I kind of finessed a little bit. I was like, well, I actually got a story I'm working on. And they were like, oh, well, when is the story supposed to come out? I'm like, it's supposed to come out next month. So, okay, we'll give you a month. So they gave me my email back for a month. So I had a month The Slack was gone, which was fine with me because I had everybody's number. But the email they let me keep for a month. So I had a month to move emails out, email other people, let them know where I would be at. I was grateful for that because it did give me a chance to just kind of get my shit together.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate because nobody else got that, but shout out to them for looking out for me for doing that. And yeah, that was basically it.
How did you feel? Like, that's unhinged.
At first, relieved.
Oh. That's not what I was expecting you to say at all.
I was relieved. And then...
How come?
Because I knew it was coming. Nobody told me, but I felt it.
Yeah.
You could tell when your company not thriving.
Oh, yeah.
And it just felt like this is getting to a point where either I'm good. We were already having talks about me leaving. I was already having conversations with my EIC and with my editor, Dimas, about me becoming a part-time writer or just kind of only... We were already having those type of conversations. So for me, it was like, well, y'all just kind of gave me what I needed. But then the sadness started to trickle in because I felt like, well, where am I going to go? Okayplayer was the only place where I could wake up in the morning and have a random ass idea and tell Dimas about it, or tell Ashley about it, or tell Elijah about it. And as long as it was a good ass pitch and they knew I was going to turn it in, it was a okay.
Facts.
And so then that reality sunk in of like, where else can I go and get off like that?
Yeah.
There's nowhere else you can go and just get off shit like that. So that's when it really hit in like, damn. Where am I going to go? And then in this really weird way, so we all got laid off on a Friday. Monday morning, I wake up and John at Rolling Stone emails me. And he's like, Kia, I got an idea and I want you a part of it. I was like, okay. And then that's when we did the 100 greatest R&B songs of the 21st century.
Oh, look at that.
And that kind of made me like, because it kind of made me feel like, oh. And then all of a sudden, like everybody from Rolling Stone was like, yo, Key, just emailing you, like, you know, if you need anything, we here. Like, and that kind of made, because it was just like, this is Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
And they hit me up. And mind you, and I want to be very clear about this, they're the first publication that had reached out after everything.
Wow.
To me. They were the first ones that reached out to me. Them and my homie over at Billboard. They were the first ones that were like, hey, just make sure you're good. Let you know if you need anything, we here. And that meant a lot to me because they're on the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
So for them to reach out to me, like literally, I got laid off on a Friday. Monday, they all were like,
so they're tapped in.
Whatever you need.
Yeah.
So that relieved a lot of stress for me because I'm like, I don't even need. Why am I forcing myself to do bullshit?
Yeah.
When at any time I know somebody will call like, Kia, I got something for you. So I just, yeah. But yeah, that was the process of how I got laid off. Well, how we all got laid off.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, now that we know who's holding the proverbial pen, I think it's time to go behind the byline.
Oh my God, not behind the byline.
And going directly with the little noise right there, that's fire. I don't want to get sued though. So,
oh my God, they gonna sue you for that?
I don't know. You know, right
don't
now.
Don't even do that. That's fucked up if y'all try to sue him because Michael Jackson definitely did sample Rod Sterling on the album. Now, I know he probably did get clearance, but still, don't do that shit, yo. For real, for real.
I don't got Michael money, so, you know, CBS, ABC,
y'all
whoever.
Need to relax.
Yeah, please. So, you know, sort of segueing off of your Rolling Stone, let's get into it.
Oh my God, not Rolling Stone.
Because you contributed, I think it was 18 blurbs.
I did.
Out of 100?
Yeah, that means I did 1/5 of the list.
Girl, that is, when you break that down, that's kind of
ridiculous.
That's kind of fire, though.
It is, though. They let me, and like, that's why I have like so much respect for John and all of them over there at Rolling Stone. They just let me. The crazy thing is when John hit me up about the list, he told me what he wanted to do. He said, I got a document. Just go crazy in it. The document was blank. Like blank. I said, John, ain't nothing in here. He said, start it off.
Go crazy.
He said, start it off. I'm like, me?
Let Kia
like,
cook.
You trust me? I went in there, and then everybody else, was coming in and adding anything, and it was just so collaborative. And like it was the same way for like it was similar to how it went for our Beyonce list when we did that as well. But like this one was just very collaborative. Like you saw people in real time going in there, leaving notes like, "Nah, we should do this. Nah, we should." It was. I really enjoyed putting that list.
It felt good.
It felt good. You know what I'm saying? And just it came from a genuine place, like,
And for the people at home who are watching the visual, the article is called, or the list is called, "Rolling Stone 100 Best R&B Songs of the 21st Century," and it was published January 3rd, 2024. And Kia Turner is on that joint.
I am
18 times.
18.
So you posted about this accomplishment at the time. And you were detailing how much of a full circle moment it was for you, your inner child grinning ear to ear. Like I could see the little black girl just happy as hell hugging her Rolling Stone magazine. That's beautiful. So talk to me about this moment and a little bit more about, what John wanted. Because I know you was cooking. You were talking about how it was sort of conceived and what he wanted from you. But it seems like you were able to go in and just mastermind. Do your thing. And that's kind of different for the people who don't know. That's kind of different from like the blurb economy in journalism.
Right, where it's just like, all right, here you go. Thank you. Have a great day.
Ooh, this is like it's supposed to be 150 words. You give me 300.
Right.
Make that word. Yeah. So how did that work for you? Were there any like sort of guidelines regards to wording or?
Their guidelines are very simple when it comes to at least the list that I've worked on with them. I think if it's under 20, so 1 through 20, I think it has to be a certain word count. Right. Obviously, it gets a little bit more because it's in the top. Yeah. And then anything below 20 is a certain word count as well. Other than that, you're basically off to the finishes. But yeah, so basically, he sent the doc over. I went in and was, flushing. I just went through my whole Tidal, Apple Music, Spotify, and just put every single thing that was R&B that was released. The guideline was, we were trying to figure out, should we do from 2001 to now, or do we do from 2000 to now? We thought it made sense to do from 2000 to now, because 2000 is the start of the
That's the millennium.
So, but yeah, so I went in, did that. Everyone else was coming in as well. A lot of Rolling Stone writers, between writing their own assignments, were coming in, filling things in, and how we communicated about. So we had the yes column. So once we made we made like a big list, just one big list of all the songs. Then
was it way more than 100 at that time?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
And then we went through and we created a yes column, songs that absolutely, without a doubt, could go on this list.
Frontin'.
We'll get to actually that and how that came about.
Who I gotta fight? Who I gotta fight?
You might have to fight me. So we did the yes column, which was like, everything that we felt like, if we had to do this list, these are songs that have to be considered. The maybe and then the no. So I'm not gonna hold you. I put a couple sneaks on my version of it because I was just like, let me see what Rolling Stone willing to define as.
Wait, where y'all at right now?
So I put front and down on the list to be a dickhead.
Yeah.
And then they actually agreed to it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is fun.
Y'all on this type of time.
Okay. Oh, that's crazy. Let me go crazy. And then when we put it at the number we put it at, I said, oh, we're bugging.
We're wilding? Oh, we wilding.
We're wilding right now.
Send it through.
Line me up, boys. So once we did that, again, each of those piles had over 100 songs. Then we had to narrow it down to 100. So we had to pick the ones out that we felt like worked best. Yeah. A lot of this communication was through just, comments. So somebody would put a comment, hey, I don't really know about this, or what is your opinion on it? So that was a lot of the way we communicated. Then we had one big Zoom call where we actually did sit down and talk about the list of 100 that we had, because that list of 100 shuffled through at least 3 times before we actually settled for what we settled for. I think we were all pretty clear that we were aiming for singles or songs that majority of people know. Yeah. I think to sit down and do like album cuts and to go into like, just B-sides and stuff, I think now we're getting into muddy territories, and it takes too much time. So we kind of obviously just stuck to like main singles. Yeah. Beyonce was number one originally. I think it was Dangerously in Love that was originally number one.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of us felt like, all right, that's just a sneak. Like, y'all just doing it because it's Beyonce.
Yeah.
So John was like, well, then if it's a no to Beyonce, then what is it? And I'm like, all right, well, it's either Usher or Mariah. Or, no, I said it's either Usher or Mary. It was either Mary J. Blige, Be Without You,
Mm-hmm.
or it's going to be Usher Confessions, part 2. Like,
Easy.
Those are my two options. And everybody agreed with Usher. And I was like, wait a minute. Because I had picked to write about Usher.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean I would have to write about the number one song again. And I was just like, is everybody aware of who's
Y'all know that's me, right?
Y'all know, like, I don't want that pressure, especially because it was coming out right before the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So I'm like, I know his PR is like, I don't need that type of pressure on
That's
me.
good strategy, though.
It is good strategy.
That's good strategy.
I mean, it was a good business decision.
Come on.
But at the same time, it was just like, I don't really think I should do it. And everybody was in agreement.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was like, no, I really think it should be Usher Confessions Part 2. And that was how it ended up as number one. And then we like shifted some things around. But all in all, like, it was a collaborative process. It was probably like as collaborative as it could be. I don't think people understand how hard putting together a list is.
Or writing blurbs.
Writing blurbs alone. Like,
that's an art.
And it was to the point where, like, I had, like, I think 10, because I didn't want to take up too much space. So I took 10. And it was to the point where John was emailing, like, Kia, like, are you able to take on more? I was like,
I don't want to bother you, but
I don't want to be bothered. But and it got to the point where I was like, yo, I was counting them. I'm like, I'm at damn near 20 blurbs. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, I actually would have had 20, but I think I took off, like, 2 of them.
Do you remember what the other 2 songs were? I'm curious. I like the breakdowns and shit.
Jagged Edge was one of them.
Ooh.
I forgot what the other one I was gonna pick was.
Wait, was it the original Let's Get Married?
Whatever was the Jagged Edge song that made it to on the list, that was the one I was gonna write about. And there was something else, but I forgot. And so I just stuck with the ones I knew for sure. Obviously I snatched Frontin' immediately.
Oh yeah, you got to.
I had to snatch. It was either Michael or Janet, and I was just like, fuck, I'm gonna just snatch Michael. So I snatched Michael. Naturally, I had because they picked Usher, I had to go with the number ones. I was like, oh, fuck. And the crazy thing is, out of all my blurbs, I didn't like my Usher blurb when I first turned it in.
How come?
I just felt like it really didn't capture the essence of the song properly. So I sent it to Maya.
Oh, wow.
And Maya, like, made some edits. And I was like, okay, we got something here. And then I sent it to Elijah, who was my editor at Okayplayer. He made edits. And I sent it to John. John made some edits. He was like, tell me what you think. And, like, all together, like, just all 3, because all 3 contributed something that I think made me like it more, which was that, like, Maya kind of added in, like, this energy of, like, she was the one that had changed it, because I think I had a line about, like, who wrote it. And she changed it and made it feel more like Us, JD, and V Cox. And I was just like, like, okay. Like, she kind of made it feel like a little bit more like R&B, like, ish. Because I always say I'm the hip hop girl. So it was an R&B list. And I was just like, well, Maya's the R&B girl. So, like, when I ran it through her, she was just like, nah, you got all the points. Like, you compare, you did X, Y, and Z. When I ran it through to Elijah, because Maya's a big Usher fan. So I wanted to run it through her just to make sure I got it right from a fan point of view. Because I didn't want his fans to then be like, well, you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to make sure from a fan point of view I got it right. Then I ran it through to Elijah just to make sure technically it was right. Like, it, like, calm, just, punctuation, just making sure it made sense. John, I wanted him to come in and add, like, the pop culture flares to there. So, like, the opening line was originally... as Michael Jackson did with Thriller, Usher did with Confessions. And then John came in and added that a la Justin Timberlake and Beyonce. Ooh. And then he said, tell me who Usher influenced with Confessions. So I'm like, oh, well, he influenced Justin Bieber, Drake, Chris Brown, da-da-da-da. So then, like, he kind of added, like, the razzle-dazzle that made, like, really nice.
Those little flourishes.
Right, like, what you think about that? Okay, boom. And then he told me to rewrite the ending. He was like, I feel like you're not selling me. So I went and I re-listened to the whole Confessions album, and I really thought about it. I'm like, bro, this nigga went diamond.
Crazy.
Like, in 2008. America.
Physical
2008
copies.
America, you went diamond.
Physical copies.
We know it came out in 2004, but he went diamond in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, you went diamond in 2008 America? Like, this is fucking crazy. And then that's when I rewrote the ending. And John was like, you rewrote more than I thought you would, but this is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is good. Like, I ended up rewriting more of it because I actually fell more in love with the song.
You had that passion.
And, and it was done. And I remember, like, when, like, they kept holding off the date on when it was going to come out, and I was so nervous. And then it came out, and I just kind of sat there. And
Did you get the champagne and everything ready?
No, I didn't do nothing, none of that. I didn't want to celebrate nothing. And because I really didn't want to get my hopes up about something, because this was really the first writing piece that was coming out in the new year for me. And it was Maya that texted me like, yo, Usher just saw your everything. I'm like, what you mean? And I saw you reposted it. And then I woke up the next morning to his PR team in my emails like, hi, Kia, we just want to formally introduce ourselves. It's like, oh, hi.
We wasn't familiar with your game.
We were familiar with your game.
You know what
but
I'm
now you're on our radar. We just want to say hi. So, yeah. So then that was cool.
Wow. Okay, so did you get the champagne after?
No.
What?
Oh,
This is a big feat. Like, you didn't.
No. What was the champagne for me was seeing, well, I have a good relationship with Brian Michael Cox myself, but just seeing him and Johnson Austin and Jermaine really being like, yo, look, we made it on this list. We're amongst this, like, we're great. Like, they were so appreciative.
And you don't think about it like that as a journalist. You're just trying to do what's best and honest.
You're just trying to get the work done.
You know what I mean? So.
And then you know what was really the icing on the cake for me? When Usher recently did his interview with Zane Lowe, he was talking about how Confessions didn't win Album of the Year. And he was just like, I don't know any other album that's gone diamond or done, has done what that album has done. He's like, even Rolling Stone said it. And I was like, yes,
I said it.
Go.
It was me.
I was like, but you know what I appreciate? Because you can go to his Wikipedia page and under Legacy, it says Kia Turner of Rolling Stone. Even though I don't work at Rolling Stone.
I do that shit all the time.
Bro. I was just like, look at me. I'm here. This is what they said. You can quote me about this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a reliable source.
I'm a reliable source. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That really put the battery in my back of like, oh, I still got it.
So I was going to follow up and ask you, why does this byline mean so much to you? But I think you just answered that.
Yeah. It reminded me, like, I'm still her.
Yeah.
I still know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Come on.
Like, I'm still out here making impact. Mm-hmm. Because, I feel like when you get into the point, and, Taylor Crumpton is going through this right now where, the piece that she wrote for Time Magazine about Beyonce. Like Beyonce has the website Always Been Country. The name of the byline was Beyonce Has Always Been Country, and Taylor's really reaping the benefits of that. I think sometimes you're just doing the work because you're passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And in the back of your mind, you always hope they see it or hope they acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But when they actually not only acknowledge it, but then enforce it themselves, like it was one thing to see Usher repost it. It was a one thing for his PR to now put me on their little PR list.
Yeah.
It was one thing for little things like that. But for him to sit there in an interview with Zane Lowe, preparing for the Super Bowl and be like, yeah, even Rolling Stone said my album is one of the best of all. Like, what we talk, like for him to sit there and quote it, it was kind of just like, oh wow, like I didn't know it was gonna affect you like that. Like maybe like I didn't know it meant that much.
Like you're cemented in history forever. Like
am I?
Yeah.
Am I really?
When people 10 years from now dig up old Usher interviews and they like, yo, and then like when he was getting ready for the Super Bowl.
Niggas can go on Wikipedia in 10 years and see my words.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what
crazy.
I mean.
That's ridiculous.
But that's not the only piece.
Okay.
That caused a hoopla.
Not a hoopla.
And a kerfuffle.
Not a hoopla.
There's a article, Something is Missing with Pharrell Williams. Something in the Water Festival. Published on May 1st, 2023.
Are you personally going to drag me?
No, not me. I don't idolize or worship these people on that level. I love Pharrell.
Okay.
He's a human being. He deserves criticism.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyhow, there are other people who don't think like that.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you ever saw the backlash.
No, I did.
Girl, we got to talk about this. So before we can get there, though, what were the ins and outs of getting credentialed for this type of event? Because, again, some people might not know
the process.
Yeah.
So credentialing, and I hate saying this because it sounds very flexy, is easy for me.
Wait, say it again. I don't think that you wasn't close to the microphone.
I wasn't that close.
You wasn't that close.
You didn't hear me?
You
Okay.
close, yeah.
No, I was saying that like credentialing for me is like it's actually easy. Because when you actually know people and then you credible and like people fuck with you, it's just.
Can I go? Of course.
Can I go? Yeah. So yeah, I was already linked with his team, and I had asked months in advance, which is my normal thing anyway.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something where I know I want to go, I'll just ask beforehand. Hey, keep me in mind.
Right.
And they did keep me in mind. Shout out to Pharrell's team. So yeah, they gave me the pass. When I spoke to my team, at first we were like, is this going to be, because I was at Okayplayer at the time. So we were trying to decide, was this going to be an overall festival review or were we just going to focus on Pharrell's set? I felt it was important to just focus on Pharrell's set because at the same time, he had just got the appointment from Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
So I was really interested in how he was going to put together a thoughtful, well-executed performance on top of all the preparation he was doing for this show.
That shit's lingering.
And it was his first show. So this had to be it starts off, it sets the energy. You know what I'm saying? So I knew he had a lot going on. So I decided we should just focus on his set. I didn't go to the Something in the Water the first year, unfortunately. I heard that was like the best year.
Yeah. I missed it too.
But yeah, I missed that one. But I did go to the second one in DC. I experienced that for the most part backstage. So I don't really know how it was out in the crowd. But for the third one, I don't know. Maybe I enjoyed. Okay. So when I got to Virginia Beach, one thing I will say is I enjoyed, and I've been to Virginia Beach before. It's not like I've never been.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed seeing how much the city still loves him. Like seeing like the restaurant literally have a drink named after him. Yep. And just, like even hearing the Neptunes music playing on the street. It was a really invigorating feel because I know how much Virginia Beach means to him. So for me, it was like, oh wow, they still love the kid. I have a thing. I love seeing hometowns still praise their hometown heroes, And the fact that he does this for his hometown was never lost on me. I'm very aware that he does this as a safe haven for Virginia Beach because of previous crimes and run-ins and situations with the police down there, with law enforcement, with Beach Week, the way, it's been targeted because it's black college students. So I understood all of that.
Yeah. He's just like, yo, I got a safer, more reputable way you can do this.
I have a safer way we can do this. And he has the means, he has the resources to be able to execute this. I mean, I was at the second year of Something in the Water backstage, and I remember seeing the snipers from the building, like, ready at any time if anybody was acting funny.
What? What's going on?
I remember the snipers at the top of the building.
What?
You don't know they have snipers at the top of buildings at events?
I do know that. I didn't know that was Something in the Water.
Bro, it was in D.C.
Look, man.
It was government buildings. They weren't going to let this man have something in the middle of the street with the White House down the street. Nah, bro.
It does make sense, though.
Hey, man, the VMAs had snipers from the building. I was like, bitch, you in North. Why you got snipers here?
See, that's my thing. Like, everybody just got snipers.
Everybody got snipers. Where the fuck y'all find these people?
That's why I was reacting. I'm like,
here's my question. And maybe y'all industry niggas can answer this for me. Is it like a directory of like, yo, we need some snipers for tonight's event? Like, how do y'all say,
hello, snipers for hire? Like,
would y'all actually call the feds? Like, who are these people?
Where y'all get them from?
Where y'all get them from? But yeah, so I'm aware of the history and why he does Something in the Water. Still doesn't take away from the fact that it is a festival.
Yeah.
So I was watching his set. It was cool.
He's like, it's not.
It was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I kind of felt like he set such a high level with what he did the first year. And then you came back the second year. And the second year wasn't bad either. You brought out, I mean, granted, he didn't have Tip and SZA, which I thought would have been two super fire moments. But, you did bring T.I. out. He went through his catalog. Of course, you brought Justin out, 20th anniversary of Justified. You brought the fucking clips out. Like,
amazing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a great performance to me. So it was just like, I was expecting the third year, like, I don't know where he was going for. And again, he had a lot on his plate.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just felt like it was a lackluster performance. You're not going to impress me with Busta Rhymes. I'm sorry, and you're not going to impress me with Puff. You're not. Like, I've seen them way too many times do this surprise pop out and do don't this shit like so you're not going to surprise me with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to surprise me with MIA. Like it's just certain things. Yeah. I would have preferred Gwen. Where, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you brought the wrong one.
SWV was right there in town. Like, they performed. Why weren't they on stage? Like, it's just certain things that just was like, all right, this ain't really making sense to me. So, yeah, I mean, it was a cool show, but I wasn't impressed by the set. And I knew it was going to seem weird because then I met the man right after I saw the set.
I was going to say, like, yo, how do you reconcile stuff like that? Because it's like, yo.
Then I went and met the man. I was just like.
That's my guy, but that sucked.
I love you. Shit was ass. But I would hope that a nigga like Pharrell would respect that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it ain't no beef. They still invited me to shit after.
They was like, damn, it is what it is. Anyways, we got this BBC collection coming out. Like, yeah. That's usually how it goes. That's how it goes.
Niggas like, damn, that sucks. Anyway, we got some
pants we trying to sell.
Yeah, like they were not concerned about what the fuck I wrote about something in the water.
But as with everything, Twitter was.
The people of Virginia Beach were.
So how did you sort of react to that backlash coming out, and how did it build up? Was it really all at once, or was it kind of a little hateful comment here, or somebody said something crazy about the article there, or how did that transpire? Do you remember?
Well, one, I don't go looking for it.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
It just so happens when like people are congratulating me or saying things that I fuck with, then I'll see that shit and I'm like, oh fuck. Well, the first thing was I knew it wasn't like a personal dig, because in their perspective, it's, well, this is our son, quote unquote, our town's son, our city's son.
He's doing it for us.
He's doing something for us.
Yeah.
So fuck you, you outsider.
Yeah, where are you from? New Jersey.
Yeah, fuck you. You don't come down here and tell us. And even in the article, I think I have wrote like, no, that was in my Lovers and Friends article that I think I have wrote like, you guys don't know any better, but I do. And I remember somebody said, that sounds pretentious. I said, no, that sounds informed, because you don't know any better. You take your hard-earned money from your job and you buy this expensive ticket, especially in this day and age where our economy is fucked. A lot of times you buy over what you can afford because they're selling you this idea of luxury, or they're selling you this idea of access, when really all you're going to do is just be standing in front of a whole bunch of other people if you have that access. There's not going to be anything much different.
What did he do?
You're just standing there. Like, there's nothing different. You're not getting a backstage pass. You're not getting free Louis Vuitton. They're not, like, you're not getting none of that. You know what I'm saying? And these artists are probably artists that you will see once in your life. They're probably artists that will only come to your town once. Like, these aren't artists you're going to see often. So for you, yeah, this is a thrilling experience of witnessing this. For me, somebody who has seen these artists more than once, it wasn't that it was a lackluster performance for you. It's the fact that I knew that this set could have been better. It was never an attack on Virginia Beach.
Perspective.
Because I never said anything about Virginia Beach outside of that's where we were. My whole thing is, P, I know you can do better than this.
Yeah.
Your musical catalog is way too crazy for you to even put together some bullshit.
You
like
showed
that.
me greatness, and then you give me...
But I also understand you're busy.
Context.
So then you should have understood that. It's okay to be busy, but then that means you just couldn't do this shit. So figure that out. You ain't had to be on stage. Every year you don't have to perform front and beautiful. I promise you don't. You can just be the mastermind of like, well, this year I'm doing all women. So this year, every woman I've ever worked with, they coming out. Or this year I'm doing all the OGs that I grew up on. So I'm bringing everybody out. You don't have to be on stage. They just want to see you and get acknowledgement from you. You don't have to put that together. And he looked tired on stage. He looked exhausted.
Oh, I think you talked about that in the
I did. He looked tired. Even when I went up and met him, like, yeah, he was of course cool, sweet, but
you could see the sweat.
You could see the sweat and bags. It was Louis Vuitton bags under his eyes.
Oh yeah.
But like you could tell, like this man was exhausted. And it's just like, my nigga, you should have just stayed home.
Yeah, bro. Just took a nap.
We could have rescheduled this. We could have did it when it worked best for your schedule. But he was trying to cram so much in one time.
Yeah.
Because then a month or two later, he had the Louis Vuitton show.
And no cap, he looked tired as hell.
He looked tired as hell there, too. And it's like, man, you turned 50.
That boy do be moving like he's 20.
You moving like, I said on Twitter, he moves like a Trinidadian father of 5.
Yeah,
and I
man.
just don't understand.
He be like, yo, I got shit to do.
Like,
I got bags to get.
Like, he moving like it's some issues. What's like, sir, you're good, okay? I need you to relax, all right? But yeah, it was never an attack on Virginia Beach. But I did learn a big lesson from that. When you are dealing with festivals and festival culture, there are some people that, for them, they're like, I could never, like, it would have been the same if I did it for Dreamville. I didn't write the Dreamville review, but like, if I had, it would have been the same thing if I had dragged it. Well, this ain't for you anyway. This for North Carolina. This for us.
Yeah.
When it's like, okay, but what I'm saying is not about you or your city. It's about the man who put it together.
Yeah, beautiful gowns.
Beautiful guy.
Yeah.
But like, I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like people was taking it personal when it's just like, this ain't about you.
And how did you have any sort of like nerves building up when you were writing it, or you didn't? Like, you was just like, nah, this is what happened. I'm reporting. I'm giving my opinion. That is what it is. However y'all feel is.
I was more nervous about Pharrell feeling some type of way about it.
And he didn't. And here we are. So everything that you saw on social media was just like, all right, I mean, I guess. I mean, y'all, P ain't mad, so here we are.
No complaints on my end.
So was there anything that you sort of learned about festival culture when you were there out and about reporting? Any way that you sort of learn how to better report, or maybe like, maybe I shouldn't do this next time when covering a festival? Because a lot of people obviously don't know, who are not in it. Covering a festival is a beast in itself.
It's a fucking nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
I don't wish that on my own enemy.
Especially when there's like a stage A, West Coast stage, East Coast stage
y'all
from hell.
And these artists, I don't know. I don't even know if y'all gonna listen to this.
And then they're all performing at the same time.
I don't need these 10 themed stages. I really don't need them. I don't need the black stage, the white stage, the yellow stage,
the gray stage, brought to you by Capital
One,
and
her friend stage. I don't need none of these. Like, just give me 1 or 2, and we good to go. It'd be like 1,500 stages. I don't understand.
Now, was festival something in the water? Was that like that too, or was it just like one main stage and we got the party right here?
There were 2 stages, which was, one was down one end of the beach, the other was down the other end of the beach, which made it so hard because now you got to run through sand and a whole bunch of people to get from one. Imagine running from Lil Wayne to Pharrell. Oh, got to run like what?
Wait, the block is hot.
Gotta go.
Friends on.
Friends on. Gotta go back. Like, you running in the sand looking like fucking SpongeBob and Patrick.
And now, were they on at the same time, or
no? When P went on, he had the whole thing himself. But Lil Wayne was the last major act to go on the other stage before P came out. Which is why a lot of people thought he was gonna come on P's set because he came on. Well, he got off right when P was getting on. But I actually have gotten a lot of experience from festival culture. I've covered just about every single festival you can think of.
wow.
I've learned a lot of lessons from going to festivals. One, I'm sorry.
No, share the story.
I just started thinking about shit. I'm just like,
share it to class,
the nightmares I've had with festival shit.
It's probably from Rolling Loud, ain't it?
Rolling Loud, the only reason I stopped going to Rolling Loud is because I feel like it's just boring. I feel like
I've never heard that, actually.
It's the same rinse and repeat. It gets exhausting.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to go through that.
Well, what was the best experience you had at a festival? I'm not even sure if that is like a...
It is Dreamville.
Because people feel like that feels like a family reunion.
Absolutely. And also just the way you're treated. From at least... So what I'll say is from just going and experiencing it, just in general. Like, if I was just a general...
Not writing, just vibes.
Just writing, just vibes. I can see why people feel that way. I remember walking in, everything... I mean, no festival is 100% organized. But it was as organized as it could possibly get. I remember there were a lot of food options.
Wow.
I remember there was a lot of open space, so you didn't feel claustrophobic. People had blankets. People had their kids out there. It was like everybody understood that in the middle was where the people were going to sit. And so it was just like this beautiful haven of like blackness in the middle.
And just understanding. Wow.
I didn't see any fighting. I didn't see any rowdiness. Everybody just kind of went to the stages they needed to go to and enjoyed the night. Even when we were leaving, it was in a very organized manner. Everybody just kind of walked and got to their spot and kind of went where they went.
That's bizarre.
Parking was actually easy. I can see why people feel like it's a family reunion environment. Being there press-wise, I've never had a festival treat me the way Dreamville had treated me.
Wow.
From giving me access to artists when I needed it. We didn't have certain passes because that was one where I allowed another coworker to lead because she was actually from North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And then, per usual, I had to step up and lead anyway. And we needed some addition.
Please.
I'm just being honest. Like I said, I ain't scared not one motherfucker. Nobody is bold enough yet to DM me about anything I say. So, about that. But we needed some like extra passes, and like they came and were like, "Yo, here you go." Like they took care of us. Even when we did get backstage, it was like, "Hey, we have food back here if you need it. We got hookah back here." I was like, "Y'all got hookah in this motherfucker?"
J. Cole?
I was like, "Hold on, like
Jermaine?"
I said, "Not the hooks in the back." I said,
Jermaine
Cole.
Cole?
I could get one. They was like, "Yeah, you can get one." I was busting that hookah down.
Personal
in the
hookah?
back. All I heard was Ari Lennox break me off. I'm like, like in the back going crazy. They had an open bar. It was good vibes, you know, like all.
This is crazy.
Any assets that we needed were given to us. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I can say Dreamville Fest is the best, and it's happening right now while we're recording it. But like, that's what makes it so crazy.
They're getting blessed right now.
But like, that was the best festival I've ever been to.
Wow. And now back to something in the water. Is there anything about your coverage of the festival that maybe you would want to change the way you execute it, or maybe it's something that when you read it back, you're like, maybe I was wilding.
Read me the opening line of that.
I got you.
I haven't read it in so long.
I'm gonna read it up until. Okay. From the moment you touch down in Virginia Beach, there's a profound understanding of just how much Pharrell Williams is the city's son. There are skateboarding parks near the boardwalk, murals adorning surf shops, a restaurant with a drink named The Pharrell, and an assortment of bars and restaurants along the boardwalk that played songs that could easily be added to playlists of the Neptune's greatest hits. It's the appeal and legacy that Pharrell Williams has crafted for himself, his childhood friends turned peers, and hometown that has brought legions of fans dressed head to toe in BBC gear and NERD caps. But Something in the Water 2023 has more than just a celebration of Pharrell. It was about community. Throughout the week, events like A Seat at the Table, an arts and culture experience, occurred with panels about Black creatives, educators, and mental health. There were stages along the boardwalk that highlighted local artists, while VA legend and former rapper turned entrepreneur, The Great Family, hosted a free R&B block party. There was a heavy emphasis on togetherness throughout the week that seemed to be executed better at the community stages than at the festival's main solar and lunar stages. Period. And that's how you started it off.
So no, I don't regret anything.
Yeah, that was a beautiful encapsulation of. I felt like I was there, honestly.
Yeah, I don't regret what I said.
All right, and there you have it. So from your career and where you're at now, where you're going, some people don't know what Kia has got next.
Okay.
So what's next for Kia Turner? That you can legally tell us. Legally,
yes. Yeah. Well, yes, I have a podcast coming out this year. It's called Act 2, the podcast. It is inspired by the song Act 2 by The Roots.
We love that.
Everybody calls me Sid Shaw, so I might as well just, I guess, step into that. And yeah, I tried to figure out what I wanted it to be about.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that each season would be themed around either an artist, an album, a production team or person, A&R label, whatever, but something dealing with hip hop. Much like how you expressed earlier about how you felt like a lot of podcasts, especially in the music space, are just basically men yelling into microphones, and you wanted to offer something different. I feel like the podcast space, especially for music and hip hop, it's just men.
Yeah.
The room for women is really in like self-help and lifestyle and things of that nature, and that's great too, because we, you know, it's always great to hear other perspectives from other women, but I think it's important, especially in these day and times with media, to state that there are women here who I can have the same conversation with you about rap that you can have with a man.
Facts.
And so that was really my whole thing, is just establishing a real place for women to talk about hip hop, but everybody to talk about hip hop, but also like to let it be known that we can have those same type of conversations too. It's actually funny because at first I wanted to do, I started this idea early last year. I want to say maybe around this time. So like maybe May of last year, the idea came to me. And at first I wanted to do a Neptunes themed season where, you know, being that I had, I have, a connection with Chad Hugo and, all of those bits and pieces. In retrospect, I am glad that I didn't go through with that, knowing the news that was just announced, because that wouldn't have gone great. I am glad that I did my Neptunes week though.
Yeah.
Before.
And thank you for that again. Gave me the lob. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was originally my idea, but then that's when I found out about the Neptune Sunday podcast, and I was just like, oh well, there's no reason in me trying to do that if someone else does it. I always like to be different. And so I really sat there and had to think on, well, what do I want to talk about? I don't want to be, if I'm a zillennial, as I call myself, I'm not about to come out here talking about fucking Melly Mel. Like I and much respect and love to Melly Mel, but like I'm not finna sit here and do a podcast, about the OG golden era, because you don't want to hear that shit from me anyway. So I was like, well, who's polarizing? And I remember like writing on my board, this is the second time that I'm openly talking about this, but it'll I remember writing on my board Drake, like in bold letters, like Drake or yay. And I made the decision to do a podcast about Drake.
Ooh.
So that's what season 1 is about.
Drizzy Drake?
It is a podcast uncovering the cultural, musical, and even socioeconomic influence of Aubrey Drake Graham.
Drizzy Drake.
So everything he's been doing so far this year has only been like, literally every time something new comes out about him or something happens, Maya's texting me like, oh, this podcast. I'm like, girl, every day he's giving me more content. Like, what the fuck? Like, stop. Like, I need to catch up. And that's the hard part right now, is just trying to figure out how many episodes. I wanted to end on a 6 number. So I was like, okay, 16. I'm really not trying to go into like 26. But like I said, every day this nigga is doing some shit. So I'm like, what the fuck?
He won't sit down.
Shit, we might have to make it 26 at this point. So yeah, that's my baby that I'm working on. And then aside from that, I'm starting my own agency. It's called After School.
Come on.
I named it After School because I feel like we all were a part of some type of after school activity.
I was part of like 4.
I was always a part of an after school activity. I never went home till like 8 o'clock at night.
Facts.
But yeah, I named it After School because I feel like I want it to be a place for you to nurture your inner child like creations and really like bring them into reality. And I kind of view it as like an after school program. Like we offer various services. We will offer various programs as far as like doing things like, art galleries. I actually have an exhibit that I'm working on right now.
Ooh.
And just, like just different things. I want to do different panels, especially for my hometown.
Yeah.
They don't get to see what I see often. I want to be able to bring Lenny S and other A&Rs and managers to Newark so that they can sit with, other people who want to break into that and maybe gain some advice. I want to do like studio sessions where I'm renting out studios and I allow my, industry friends who are producers and are A&Rs to come in, and then allow artists from my hometown to come in and them to work together and figure something out. So that's what's really important to me right now. And then, of course, the pen is still around.
Come on.
I have a story with Erykah Badu coming out.
Ooh. You can't say the publication?
I can, Essence.
Oh. Is it a cover story?
No.
Oh.
But for Black Maternal Week.
That's hard.
Yeah, we're going to talk about her being a doula and motherhood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have some other like things that I'm working on. I'm really trying to just decide if I want to keep them for myself or kind of put them out there in the world. But yeah, it's basically where I'm at right now.
So it sounds like you're blessed, highly favored, and still on the right path.
I'm always that.
Come on. But then if there's nothing else that I have left out or that you want to speak about, this has been a blast. And I appreciate you for stepping into this dimension and receiving the love and also breaking down your articles, your experience as a Black woman, but also as a creative and a writer in this space. So thank you for that. And thank you for, shedding back a couple layers that may or may not have been difficult for you. I don't know, but I appreciate you.
Hey, man, if it's one thing I think I've learned in being in this industry is just fearlessness. Like, what the fuck you scared of? And you know what really brought that into, like for me? Like, I had met Lenny S. backstage at Dreamville, and I remember being so scared to walk up to him. I walked up to him, and I was talking to him, and he's like, what the fuck are you scared of me for? I'm like, because you're Lenny S. Like, the fuck? Like, you know who you hang with, who you roll with, and what you do. He's like, okay, but you're here too. He's
saying that like you don't got a sniper on the building behind you.
Like, snipers, bro. Like, they're here.
Come on, man.
But, like, he was like, so, but you're here. Like, shouldn't that mean something? And, like, yeah, I have no fear. And I think that's why, in a lot of ways, like, even looking back on my time at Okayplayer, that's why, like, it was always, like, just got to let Kia do what Kia does. I've always been the rebel. And I enjoy stepping into that. I don't want to be like the rest of you niggas.
And on that note, thank you so much for listening.
That sounded so. Why would you end with me?
Because that you talking is shit. I appreciate you.
It's not like that though. You know.
But hey, man. I mean, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
I just want to challenge everybody, including myself, to be better.
And that's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
And she don't want to be like you niggas. Thank you so much for this time. I appreciate y'all. And I bid you adieu. Until next time.